Welcome to Pardon Our French with Quincy and Justine.
Today we're actually filming.
Yeah, we're in front of the camera.
Yeah, we're going to do a couple clips.
We are.
So you can see how cheek to cheek we are talking into this microphone.
Yes, we only have one.
Yeah.
For the time being.
For the time being. Yes, we have to sit quite close together.
Yes.
Yes. It's kind of funny. Last week, we did a full moon manifestation witchy
Ritual,
nights.
seance, whatever you want to call it.
It was a seance. It was a full seance.
Let us tell you. Basically, because there are 2 full moons this month.
Yes.
Which, as Lucy has informed us,
our factual babe,
is where once in a blue moon comes from, because the second full moon is called the blue moon. The energy is really powerful right now. So we wanted to throw out some manifestations, and we did a little seance.
We did a seance. We seanced so hard that our seance exploded. It literally exploded.
We were burning our manifestations, and the ashtray we were using decided to blow up and shatter all over.
Yeah.
And burn Quincy's table. So I'm very sorry about that.
So we had to finish the seance out the window.
Yeah.
But
it was windy.
I think it was really windy.
It was great. Honestly, I feel good.
At least we know the energy was strong.
It was strong.
Yeah.
The witchiness was real.
Yeah. And so basically that inspired us to look back, because earlier in the year, obviously around the new year, we did these manifestation boards for 2023. Yes. And we've both been going through a lot with work and some other things lately. And so
it's easy to get discouraged.
It is easy to get discouraged. And so I have been, and I think you have as well, been thinking a lot about gratitude, a lot about thinking about what you do have instead of what you don't, or what you don't have yet, and worrying about that. So,
and looking back at what we wanted this year to look like, and kind of checking in and being like, wow, our year actually, it looks pretty much like that. That's amazing.
Yeah. We'll post this on Instagram. So if you are curious, you can look at our boards while you're listening. But we're kind of going to look at them and just do a little check-in and see how we're doing on them. Explain to you guys a couple ways that we, are achieving these things in our lives here in Paris, and how ours overlap, obviously, quite a bit.
Yeah. I think I've been doing manifestation or vision boards since forever, because my mom is very spiritual, and we did that together when I was little. And I'm really happy that it has continued on in Paris, and I get to do it with my girlfriends.
Yes.
And the way that I kind of structure mine personally is I put kind of my main theme in the middle, and I do my different kind of themes on the outside. And my themes were around, basically my center says, s'accepter au naturel, mon sanctuaire. So basically accepting my natural self, my sanctuary, and kind of really...
you are your own sanctuary.
Yeah, treating your body like a sanctuary. And so one of the themes that went with that was really natural beauty and also joy that comes from taking care of yourself. So some vitamins, some yoga, some Pilates, hydration. Yeah. Everything around wellness.
Goes into that, yeah. I definitely have a lot of that on mine as well. My biggest theme, I feel like I'm in my healing girl era.
Yes.
So I also had a quote in French. Je me fais du bien, je respecte mon corps, et je me mets au défi si je veux. Basically talking about how I'm going to only do things that are good for me. I'm going to respect my body. And basically I'm going to challenge myself to really take good care of myself. And I have really done that this year, and I'm so happy. I think the biggest thing that I've done for myself that has been a long time coming is that I decided to stop drinking. That has been a huge change for me, and it's been so wonderful. And I do feel like that's really la base of me taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And then upon that, I am able to do other things to take care of myself. Having those, I have something on here that says, clear your calendar and dim the lights.
Yes. Clear your calendar, girl. Her with her moleskin.
I do. I have a very, very busy moleskin calendar. But that idea of taking good care of yourself and taking nights for yourself and taking just the time for yourself. But that has...
I have créé du temps pour soi.
Ah bah parfait. Hein?
Create time for yourself.
Yeah. And so that's been my biggest something that I'm going to be so proud of this year.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even my intention in putting that on there, honestly.
Yeah.
but it was something that I like looked inside myself and was like, okay, I know what's holding me back.
Mm-hmm.
Now I just have to have the guts to take a hold of it.
As you say that, I'm looking at my board, and I feel like in the past, I've always had like partying with friends, and there's been like champagne on my board, and this is the first time I really don't. And I do have a whole friendship theme. Yeah. Because something that was really important to me was really connecting and making those like close girlfriend friendships, because I think those are they're just so special and they're just so necessary. And when you don't have that, you can really tell something's missing from your life, I think. Yeah.
And we are both such girls.
Yeah. I'm a girl's girl till through and through. And I really don't know.
I even have on here the ultimate girls trip.
Yes.
Check. And we did it. That one I knew was going to be easy.
Yeah. True. Yeah. I have, guérir à plusieurs, c'est mieux. So healing together is better than alone, I guess.
I think that's such a beautiful
dinner
sentiment.
Parties, coffee dates, and then just like holding hands, and I don't know, I think they're on a hike holding hands, and I'm like, you know what? We work out together, or we hold hands like, through berries.
Maybe not the hike part, but the holding hands part, yes.
Oh, yeah.
What I have here, which I think is totally, this podcast is a manifestation of this, is built on a passion.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that for both Justine and for me as well, this has been the creative outlet that we've both been looking for.
Yeah, and it really happened so randomly. Like, we were just together one night at our QG bar. Yes. Which QG is Quartier Général, so like your neighborhood. And we both just like, it just came up and we're like, we're doing this. We're going to do this.
I think what happened was that I was like, oh my God, wouldn't it be so cool if, and then she was like, well, why not? Let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I've always wanted to.
Okay, double down. Let's go. And we just took that and ran with it.
And I think I was really missing a creative outlet. I hadn't been doing anything for myself creatively. And like we would have little nights, because I was trying to make it a point to have like all my girls over at least once a month and have like a themed kind of party. Yeah. And we had one night where we were painting candles. We had a night where we just like painted in general.
Yeah. And I sat there observing.
But we watched Practical Magic and had margaritas, and please go watch it. It's like one of my favorites.
And now it's one of mine.
Yes.
I almost watched it again the other night, but I was like, we should all watch it together.
We're going to watch it in October.
Okay, perfect.
We have to. I have done. You'll see in like our post later eventually that I have a neon sign that says Midnight Margaritas, and that is from that movie.
Very central.
But yeah, we were painting, and I would always love those nights when we got together and did that, but I never had the motivation to just do it myself. And now I feel like I'm really just being creative all the time.
Yeah. It's so nice. It's really added another layer, I think, back into, like, I feel like it's added another layer back into my life because, you know, work is great and it is, you know, I'm using my brain and everything, but it's not like a huge passion of mine necessarily. I'm in data sales. So I don't know how passionate you can be about data sales. But this has really allowed me to have that creative side back in my life, and to do it with you is just even better.
We get to hang out all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess going along with your girls trip, I had like a little travel corner that just said travel. Yeah. And I have a chalet in the snow. And I did that literally, I think 3 weeks after we made these, and I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah. And we should talk more about travel.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a whole thing. And I know that we've talked about, you know, Positano and Paros and, you know, Sardinia and all these things. And it sounds very extravagant. But one of the wonderful benefits of living in Europe is that you are so close to all these places. Yeah. And we take budget airlines like EasyJet and Transavia.
Yeah. It's not luxurious as you might think it is.
Yeah. But it doesn't need to be. You know, we're perfectly happy with our budget airlines. Yeah. And, you know, we find cool Airbnbs that we're splitting between, you know, 3 or 4 people. Yeah. And we're working with each other because we all have different incomes and things like that on how we can have a trip that we all, different expectations, how we can all have trips that we're all happy with. But yeah, it's not all jet setting as it seems sometimes.
For example, I came back from Lake Como and I had to, you know, on Instagram, it looks so pretty and perfect. But what I haven't documented is the 2-hour line I had to wait in for ferries in the blazing hot sun.
Yeah.
With like the frustration of not knowing that was what was going to happen. And, you know, and then all the ferries were booked and I couldn't go until later. So like my one full day in Como was like cut in like half. And I only had so long to go visit these places, which were beautiful. But like the majority of the day was stress.
Yeah. That's no fun.
So like researching before you go and like also just taking them as they come, taking everything as it comes.
Exactly.
Because it's the reality.
And I think that a lot of times, I'm sure this is even more exaggerated for people who are coming to Europe just for their vacations. Mm-hmm. But to have these expectations of these places based off of Instagrams and movies and things like that can be a really tough thing to like set yourself up for, because then you're going to go on this trip and there are going to be a lot of tourists and they're going to be in your shots and it's going to be hard to get a good photo in the place you want to get. And so I think it's like having expectations for your trips.
I'm thinking Mykonos.
Oh my God. We have to tell this story. So we went to this place at Mykonos. What was it called? Something Ita? Negritas. Yes. Negritas. Yes. And they boast this beautiful, you know, harbor view on their Instagram. And so you reserve.
And to reserve, you have to pay like €75 a person.
Yeah. And so that was, but we were promised, you know, a seaside table, you know, very attentive service, etc. Little did we know that.
Or what they failed to tell you.
Yeah, what they failed to tell you is that there's people walking in front of
this like terrace.
The entire night.
Yeah. It's like a public walkway.
Yeah.
And so at the beautiful sunset, you have millions of people walking in front of you.
Yeah, taking their Instagram photos.
And you've like paid money to have this view. And we were both like, if we had known, we'd have just bought a bottle of wine and done the same thing.
Sat on the beach. Yeah,
for real. So that was really disappointing.
Yeah. So moral of the story is set your expectations at a reasonable level. Yeah. Except that it's not going to be Instagram perfect all the time. Mm-hmm. There is beauty in that, but there's also frustration in that. Mm-hmm. And then in terms of like you hearing us on the podcast, going to all these different places, it's a bit more, you know, what would be a good word to describe?
It's hard to explain because it is like something that I will remember forever. And it was such a great trip.
Yeah. But I mean, we have these memories, and that's what is so great about living here is that you can take like a 2-hour flight to a different country, or even a 2-hour train. You can take or maybe 3-hour train, be in Amsterdam or something. And so it's a lot easier. It's not as expensive for us to obviously go to these places since we're a lot closer by. But I think in many ways we still have the same experience as anyone else going to these places because we don't know necessarily what they're going to be like at the outset either. But we keep going because they're a blast. And all the adventures, you tell these stories for years to come.
And I think that the like silliest moments where like you are stressed out and whatnot end up being like the funniest stories.
Yeah.
Totally. Or like just really memorable ones. Like, I mean, we were waiting in line with my mom for an hour and a half and we were both frustrated, but that was time that we connected and we like, you know, we like bonded over it.
Yeah.
And like when we went to Positano and we didn't know that there were literally 3,000 stairs to climb with our luggage. And the Airbnb was like 2 miles away down a windy road with no sidewalk. We were sweating so much.
I'm just thinking about, because my mom and my grandma came to visit,
oh
as
my
you know.
Gosh,
and I had booked this special cruise down the Seine, this private cruise for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And the day comes and the weather is a little iffy. And we're like, okay, it's going to clear up so we don't cancel. And we go and we literally got caught in a full-on monsoon.
Yeah.
And before the monsoon happened, we were able to have like a little bit of wine. And so the whole experience was honestly hilarious. We were laughing through the entire time. It starts pouring and the lady who's helping, the captain of the boat is like, do you want me to pack up your planche a little bit? Like, I think your Conte is getting soaked. And so she helped us, And then my grandma literally went into like the down under of the boat and was just like drinking wine.
Please post that video as like our last slide in this carousel.
I should, yeah.
Please. We need to see Granby.
It's hilarious. Yeah.
Drinking out of her Plico.
And then we get back to the house and she goes, you know what? That experience was made possible because of the wine. She was like, when in doubt, drink wine.
Oh,
and Grandy. I thought that was really cute.
It's really cute. She's so cute. And this reminds me, our themes, like when you'll see them on our feed, we both have a lot of pink and blue.
We do.
And little did we know, Barbie came out this year and it was pink and blue.
We've now been to see it twice.
Yeah. These look like Barbie boards, honestly.
They honestly do a little bit.
It's just so good.
It is so good. I've been like, literally every time I get on the phone with someone, I'm like, have you seen Barbie?
My team shit on it and I got really sad.
What did they say?
Well, they didn't watch it. They were just being like,
okay.
Basically,
cast that off.
I know. We started our meeting and one of my coworkers was wearing pink and I was like, ooh, very on theme. Like, did you see the Barbie movie? And she's like, no. And I was like, oh, well, you should because it's really good. And then it became like a whole thing where they were all asking each other if they had seen it. And nobody had, mind you. But they had to add the extra comment of like, why would I waste my time on that movie? Why would I pay for that movie? Oh, Justine, do you feel empowered and like fuck the patriarchy now? And I was like, actually, yes, I do. And you should watch it because I think it'd be very beneficial to you. And I kind of feel bad that you think
honestly
like that. Like I feel really bad that that's your mentality towards this movie. Like,
yeah. And that you're not willing to give it a try.
Yeah.
Do we think that the French have more internalized?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is that even a question?
I mean, I was asking that more rhetorically because it's like definitely true.
Oh, yeah.
What are like manifestations of that though that we've seen in life? Because I'm like, in general, I agree with you, but then I'm trying to like pinpoint instances where that has shown up in my own life that I've noticed.
Yeah, it's very much, I don't know, Jean's a little woke boy, which I appreciate. There are some times where we have like deep conversations about feminism, and I'm very happily surprised by his reactions and like answers.
Yeah.
And there are some times where like I really see him like wanting to learn because that's not all how he had thought about like womanhood in general and like what that means.
Also, the feminist movement in France is a lot different in many ways, I think, than it is in the US, or it's shown itself. I remember when I lived in Rennes in 2016, that was more around the time when there was this group called Femmes, I believe they were called, and they would go to public places and take off their shirts and protest in a feminist way. And that was sort of like, that got pinned as like feminism. Yeah. And so a lot of people were like, oh, I'm not feminist because of like, I'm not like them.
Yeah, they have a bad rep here.
They have a bad rep when what feminism actually is just believing that men and women are equal and deserve the same rights and same opportunities and same
And it's
treatment.
like about humanity in general. But here it's really like feminism is like, oh, men haters. And it's like, what the hell?
It's so not.
It's so backwards.
Yeah. And it's also like, I think what the Barbie movie showed, not to go on and on about Barbie, but it showed that patriarchy is harmful to men as well.
Oh, absolutely. And it sets this expectation and then it kind of like fucks it all for everyone.
I think it has really horrible consequences on men's mental health because of the expectations that are put on men and how they're supposed to act, how they're supposed to think, you know, what they're allowed to feel and these types of things.
What's appropriate to like show emotionally. Yeah. The humor in France and the humor that French men in particular use are very degrading still towards like minority groups, if you think like women or whatnot, which I'm not a fan of. I feel like the humor is very much based in like insults kind of to be funny. And I don't like that. I don't relate to that.
Absolutely.
I think there is a difference in like what masculinity means in France versus the US, and also just maybe like how men present themselves differently and whatnot. And I think we could probably make an episode about that. I think also when on dates here, they're more keen on splitting the bill and not paying for the woman.
Well, because then they do this whole thing where they're like, oh, well, then if you're a feminist, then you'll split the bill. And I'm like, yeah, I will. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that chivalry has to be dead.
And that's not what feminism is.
Like, what the fuck? If we're going to actually get into the like specifics of this, it's like based on the pay gap and all the money that I spent on getting ready and the danger that I'm putting myself in by going out with someone I don't know.
Yeah.
All those things you might consider paying for my...
Especially if you ask me out.
Yeah.
If you ask me out, then know the consequences of that.
Yeah.
Shaw is shaking his head, and that's another like difference between men in the US and men in Paris or in France.
Yeah. Also, just as a side note, like I feel like nobody, when you're out at a bar or like a club, I feel like no guys ever like buy you drinks here like they do in the US.
Not like in the US, no way. I've been asked like a few times, but it's definitely not to the extent of which it would be done in the US.
That was so just true. A side note.
Yeah, we can have a whole episode about this. Just like a dating part 2 / not even part 2, just a whole different subject around dating.
Yeah. Yeah, because we also should definitely talk, like, I mean, for me, maybe more so than you, but like dating in a language that is like very much so your second language.
Yeah. Yeah, because you do go on a lot of dates with French guys where you really speak French.
Yeah, I only go on dates with French guys.
Well, yeah, what I mean is like I went on dates with French guys, but we speak English.
Oh, like, yeah. No, I always speak French. If they're French, I always speak French with them. And like, usually, I don't know how this happens, but they often happen to be the ones who don't speak any English.
Oh, I see.
So it's like, no question.
Yeah.
You know? But I also do like to at least start out by speaking French just so that like we can get it down that I do speak French, because I think that I don't want to be cast, type as one of those Americans who comes to Paris and doesn't actually make an effort to learn the language.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, that's fair.
I'm only in Paris. Anyways.
Yeah. All in all, I think reflecting back on our vision boards and just manifestations has made me really grateful for like where I am today.
Yeah.
And
so grateful.
It's like
I'm so excited for what's to come in the rest of the year too.
Absolutely.
Like I'm already
I have Amalfi on here and I'm going in 2 weeks. Which is so fun. And just, in the fall, what's to come with like contracts, like now that we both have things lined up.
Yes.
There's so much to look forward to. And there's always going to be hardship, but it's important to remember.
To remember the good stuff.
And we all have a stamp on ours of a little bee because we called ourselves the Montorgueil Bees because we all lived around Montorgueil with Lucy. And street. We still have a group chat with our little bumblebee.
Super cute.
I love it.
Anyways.
So we'll see you next week. À bientôt.
Au revoir.